Yo, what is up guys? Rob here with another WoW video, and today's video is just going to be a complete summary of how to play a Ret Paladin for PvP Arena. It's going to be a complete guide. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things for Ret Paladins this late into the Arena season. So if you find this video helpful, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on Twitch, there is a link in the description below. Like this video, share this video to help someone else out, and if you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comment section below and I'll answer you as soon as I can. Hope you enjoy this video. So this video is going to have timestamps in the description, so if you want to learn about something particular, check the description, look at the timestamps that are bookmarked, and go to that portion of the video that interests you most. But I do recommend watching the entire video if you are new to Ret Paladins for PvP Arena, or you are trying to level an alt or create an alt Ret Paladin and start playing that as potentially your main character. So the first part of this video is going to be about the PvP Arena stat priority for Ret Paladins. So your most important stat, obviously, is strength. Increases the magnitude of your attack and abilities. So this is considered a primary stat. If you have any trinkets that increase your primary stats, any enchants, stuff like that, that's super important. It's going to increase your strength. And then we have secondary stats down here: versatility, mastery, haste, critical strike. In this order, I would recommend you getting 30% versatility, mastery, or haste. We're going to talk about that in a second. And then critical strike, you really don't need to stack that as a Ret Paladin for PvP. So first things first, what is versatility? Versatility increases damage and healing done by X% and decreases damage taken by X%. So as you can see, this is really good to have in Arena. It increases your damage and healing and decreases damage taken. So the higher your versatility, the better you are going to survive in PvP and do more damage. So I would recommend getting this to 30%, because once you get to 30%, there is diminishing returns on your abilities here. So for example, once you have 30% versatility, 100 versatility after that is not going to be the same as 100 versatility before you have 30% versatility, because there's going to be a diminishing returns effect on your versatility. Next thing you want to get is either mastery or haste. Haste increases attack speed and spell casting speed. So if you want to do more consistent damage throughout the entire arena match, you can stack haste. If you want to stack mastery, mastery is good if you're trying to just burst something down and destroy someone instantly. So this really depends on your playstyle here. This expansion so far is all about bursting, so it probably makes sense to stack mastery here. But in my own case here, I'm going to try to get at least 10 to 15% haste, so my swings aren't slow and I can do some pretty good consistent damage throughout the arena. And then once I have 10 to 15% haste, 30% versatility, I'm going to try to get mastery as high as I can, up to 30%, and then maybe I'll just add into critical strike after that. But anyway, if you're trying to do burst, stack mastery. If you're trying to do consistent damage overall, haste. If you're trying to do a little bit of both, I would recommend getting 10 to 15% haste and then capping out your versatility and trying to get as much mastery as you can. There are some pieces of PvP gear that you have the option to get haste, mastery, or crit. So like those pieces would be your neck piece. So I chose the haste one. Also, I believe your bracers are one of them. Your rings are definitely one of them. So if you're trying to stack haste, that's what I did. I got the haste neck piece, the haste ring right here, these two rings, and then the haste bracers. There are some pieces that are just going to have mastery on them, and you have no choice. That would be your weapon. Your weapon only has 85 versatility and mastery on it. Your helm is another piece of gear that's only going to have mastery and versatility on it. So when you get all of your PvP pieces, you should have around 10 to 15% haste, above 17% mastery, and then definitely 30% versatility. So that's what you should stack for PvP. Those are your stat priorities. And the next part of this video, we're going to be talking about the best enchants, legendaries, gems, and I guess gear, for example. So like I said, some pieces of gear have mastery, some pieces you have a choice, some pieces you don't have a choice at all. So what you want to do is just mix and match to whatever playstyle you're trying to play, and build your stat priority around that. Also, for the gear part of this section, you can get PvE gear that has versatility and haste, and stack that, or haste and mastery. There are some pieces, but that takes too long. I don't feel like doing mythic raids, mythic dungeons, etc., etc. So right now, all I'm doing is just getting the PvP pieces of gear, and you should have a fair balance between mastery and haste. You should probably have more mastery since there are more pieces with mastery on them, and yeah, you'll probably meet that stat priority of 10% to 15% haste, probably 20% mastery, and 30% versatility. So I recommend getting not this trinket. This is more of a consistent damage throughout the arena. I recommend you get the ferocity one. It's the on use one. So I don't think I can show you that one, but basically you use it, and it increases your primary stat by like 170 or whatever it is, depending on which eye level you have. So I would recommend getting that one over this one. And then you want to have the medallion. And then right now I have the versatility and haste ring, the 200 item level plus one. And then I'm using the 197 verse and haste ring right here. When I upgrade this ring, it's probably going to have the mastery versatility one. So my haste will go down, but my mastery will go up, but I'll still be in that 10 to 15% threshold that I'm trying to hit. And then all the other pieces of gear, you just want to get mastery and haste, or versatility. Versatility and haste, or versatility and mastery, depending on the pieces of gear here. So let's talk about the gems. If you do the dailies in the Maw that give you Stygia, and once you reach a certain reputation, you can add sockets to your gear. I'm not sure exactly what pieces of gear. I think you can do your helm, your bracers, your belt. Those are the ones I know you can do for sure. So, but there are more. I think there's like 5 pieces of gear that you can do it on. So you would just add those sockets and then probably put 16 versatility gems into them. Or if you're capped out on versatility, switch to mastery or something like that, depending on what stat priority you're trying to adjust at the moment. So we talked about gear, gems, legendaries. Now let's talk about the best enchants. So let me just pull up a page right here. So for my cloak, I have 20 stamina and minor speed increase. The minor speed increase makes you run 3% faster. So that's kind of helpful in arena, especially when you're a Ret Paladin. Ret Paladins probably have the worst mobility out of all melee classes in the game right now. So that's a good boost to have a little bit extra movement speed. So 20 stamina and minor speed increase. That enchant is called Fortified Speed. So go to the auction house, type in Fortified Speed, and get this enchant on your cloak. The next one we're going to talk about is the one on your gloves. Enchant 15 Strength. Strength is a primary stat. It's your best stat in the game. So get the enchant for strength on your gloves. That is called Eternal Strength on your gloves. So same thing. Go to the auction house, buy it, whatever, put it on your gloves. And then we have the ring enchants. Versatility here for me, 16 versatility. You can do this if you are a enchanter. So I have the mats. I actually don't even have the ability to enchant those, but same thing, just go to the auction house, type in enchant ring Tenant of Versatility, and you should find these ring enchants, and then you put them on your rings. And then for the chest one, we have primary stats by 30, so that would increase your strength, stamina, armor by 30. So that's really probably the best enchant for your chest piece. And then we have your weapon. This is a kind of debated topic right now. Sinful Revelation, which basically permanently enchants a weapon to sometimes cause your attacks to reveal the sins of your target, causing them to suffer an additional 6% damage from you for 10 seconds. So you basically put a debuff on them. They take 6% more damage from you. And then you can also get Celestial Guidance, which is another one I see people using. Permanently enchants a weapon to sometimes increase your primary stat by 5%. So that would increase your strength by 5%. So what you would do is type in your strength right here, 1200 for me, times 15% or 5%, and then you'll see how much strength you get for that. You can also get Ascended Vigor, which I haven't seen anyone use this, but it is another enchant you can put on your weapon. That permanently enchants a weapon to sometimes increase your healing received by 12% for 10 seconds when taking damage. So you just receive, if you're getting focused a lot in arena, which Ret Paladins usually do get focused a ton in arena, you'll be receiving 12% increased heals from your healer. So you might want to consider that enchant for your weapon as well. So we talked about enchants, gems, and gear. Let's talk about the legendaries. This is a very interesting topic right now. The legendary that I'm using right now is Cephas Proclamation. Reduce the effectiveness of crowd control and effects by 10%. So that's pretty helpful. And then successfully applying a loss of control effect to an enemy, interrupting an enemy, or dispelling any target will increase all your secondary stats. So these are my secondary stats right here. By 80 for 15 seconds. This cannot occur more than once every 30 seconds. So this is really helpful. This is more of an all-around legendary where you get some CC reduction when you are CCing someone or kicking someone or dispelling a target. You'll have 80. You'll get an increase of 80 to your secondary stats, which are these down here. So it's an all-around good legendary that I like to use. Some other legendaries you can use are this one I have right here, Uther's Sanctuary. Your Blessing of Freedom, Blessing of Sacrifice, and Blessing of Protection cooldowns are reduced by 1 second per holy power spent. So basically, the only reason I really use this one is because of the lack of mobility that Ret Paladins have in Arena. So if I'm fighting a team that has a lot of snares and roots, I'll use this. And I'll be able to spam Freedom on myself and my teammates if I'm using a certain talent, and I'll be able to get out of roots and be more mobile than I would if I was just using this one right here. And then there are some other legendary powers. Final Verdict is a really good one as well. Replaces Templar's Verdict with Final Verdict, a devastating strike that deals 3,400 holy damage. Has a 15% chance to activate Hammer of Wrath and reset its cooldown. So this is really good if you want to do extra damage, extra burst damage. Also, your Templar's Verdict turns into Final Verdict, and I believe when you get disarmed, you can still use Final Verdict even though you are disarmed. So this is really, really helpful if you see yourself getting disarmed a lot in Arena, particularly by monks or warriors. They like to disarm you the entire game pretty much, especially when you're using wings during your burst. Another good one that people started using is this protection one, Reign of the Endless Kings. When you drop below 20% health, you become infused with Guardian of the Ancient Kings for 4 seconds. This cannot occur again for 45 seconds. So basically, Guardian of the Ancient Kings is a protection ability that reduces your damage taken by 50%. So when you have this legendary, you drop below 20%, you'll gain that ability and take 50% reduced damage for 4 seconds. And this cannot occur again for 45 seconds. So if you see, like, if you realize you're getting focused in arena a lot, or there are specific teams that focus Ret Paladins the entire game, you can switch to this legendary if you crafted it and use it. The only thing that I'm worried about this legendary is that it is a protection legendary, and although it does work as a Ret Paladin in arena, this might be changed in the future. So maybe you just want to like get the low eye level one, the 191, the 210 one, instead of trying to get this 225 or 235 eye level one. So those are that's something to be careful about. This might get nerfed or in the future, and we might not be able to use protection abilities since we are Ret Paladins. And yeah, those are like the best legendary powers right now. They all go on your chest, I believe. I'm not sure about this one. This one goes on your wrist and hands. Uther goes on your neck and chest. Cephas goes on your chest and neck too. And then the other one, Final Verdict, goes on your chest or back. So when you're crafting your legendaries, these are the ones you want to use for now. And a lot of people are using them for certain situations and certain compositions that they are fighting in arena. So now that we talked about all that stuff, let's talk about the best Ret Paladin PvP build. So this is my favorite build as of right now. I like to use Zeal, causing your next 3 attacks to occur 30% faster and deal additional holy damage. Blade of Wrath, Art of War resets the cooldown of Blade of Justice 100% more often and increases its damage by 25%. So this is good if when you reset the cooldown, that gives you basically an extra 2 holy power to gain once you use this ability. And then we have Fist of Justice here. Each holy power spent reduces the remaining cooldown on Hammer of Justice by 2 seconds. This is probably the best one to use right now. You don't want to use Repentance as a Ret Paladin because you have to cast it and it takes too long to cast. Blinding Light. I mean, you could use it in certain situations if you want extra CC, but it's a 1.5 minute cooldown, and I don't think it's worth the 6 seconds of CC that you'll get. So I'd rather just have Fist of Justice. Hammer of Justice is already a 1 minute cooldown. With this, it's usually anywhere from 20 to 30 second cooldowns. And then also on the top one here, I forgot to mention, Zeal. You can, some people like to use Execution Sentence for more burst damage, but in this meta, it's just another global cooldown that you don't want to use because people just get bursted down so fast in arena right now that if you use this extra global to your rotation, it's just going to make your burst period longer and not worth it, in my opinion. And then we have this row right here. I use Eye for an Eye right now. So if I'm fighting an all melee team, I'll use Eye for an Eye. It reduces physical damage taken by 35%, and it also reflects some damage back to them. If I'm fighting casters, I'll switch to this one, Unbreakable Spirit. Reduces the cooldown of your Divine Shield, Shield of Vengeance, and Lay on Hands by 30%. So this is really good when you're using Divine Shield and Shield of Vengeance right here. It'll reduce it to a 1.4 minute cooldown instead of a 2 minute cooldown. Only use Eye for an Eye when you're fighting double melee DPS, and they are, you know for sure that they're going to be attacking you. Also, you can use Cavalier. I don't use it that much. You have 2 Divine Steed charges. Could be good for mobility issues, but I think these are better right now. And then there's a lot of debate about this one too. These abilities, Divine Purpose, Holy Power abilities have a 15% chance to make your next Holy Power ability free and deal 20% increased damage and healing. That's really good, except in Arena, it is not 20% increased damage and healing. It goes to 13%. So it's not that good. It's probably more if you're trying to do consistent damage throughout the arena. This will proc more often. But for me, I feel like Seraphim is the best. It's a 45-second cooldown, and the light magnifies your power for 15 seconds, granting you 8% haste, which is good, critical strike, good, versatility, good, and 13% mastery. So this, in your burst rotation, right after you use wings, is really, really good, in my opinion. This one's pretty easy. Healing Hands is amazing. Word of Glory's healing is increased by up to 100% based on the target's missing health. Now, last week we did get nerfed by 20% on our Word of Glories, but this is still the talent you want to have, so you can throw those extra off heals in arena or heal yourself in arena to help out your healer. And then this one's also debated, Sanctified Wrath or Final Reckoning. Early in the season I used Final Reckoning, but it's just another like global that I don't want to use. I'd rather just have Sanctified Wrath. It makes my Avenging Wrath last 5 more seconds longer, so it'll be 20 seconds, but with this one it'll be 25 seconds. And then it also does holy damage. So each holy power spent causes you to explode with holy light for 472 damage to nearby enemies. So during your wings and burst rotation, you are pumping out you're spending a lot of holy power, and you're doing a lot of extra damage there. So I prefer Sanctified Wrath over Final Reckoning, but they're both good. Now for the PvP talents, I always use Lawbringer. I always use Aura Reckoning. So Aura Reckoning, at 50 stacks of Reckoning, your next weapon swing deals 250% increased damage and will critically strike. In addition, it activates Avenging Wrath for 6 seconds. So this pops a lot during arena, and when it does pop, your weapon swing deals 250% increased damage, and then you also have Avenging Wrath for 6 seconds. So those 6 seconds can really come at a really good time in the arena match. And if you have a Divine Toll and Wake of Ashes up, and you have some holy power and using Templar's Verdict, you can definitely get some defensive cooldowns. And also sometimes people don't realize that it's not your real Avenging Wrath, so when they do see the wings pop, they start using their defensives. And if they use their defensives for only a 6-second Avenging Wrath, most likely when you do get the real Avenging Wrath up, you can kill them in the next go with the stun. Also, Lawbringer is good. Judgment now applies Lawbringer to initial targets hit for 45 seconds. Casting Judgment causes all enemies within your Lawbringer effect to suffer up to 5% of their maximum health in holy damage, so that is really good as well. And then we have Unbound Freedom. This is the one that I use the most, especially in 3v3. Blessing of Freedom increases movement speed by 30%, so that's awesome. You run 30% faster. This is really good since you're a Ret Paladin and your mobility is absolutely terrible in arena. So you gain Blessing of Freedom when cast on a friendly target as well. So if I use this on my DPS on my 3s team or my healer, we both get freedom and we both run at a faster pace. And then Unbound Freedom also causes any Blessing of Freedom applied to yourself to be undispellable. So I use it and it can't be dispelled by a mage, for instance, which always take my freedom and then I'm useless for another 25 seconds and can't move at all. And this works really well with the Uther's Devotion legendary power. So like I said before, Blessing of Freedom, Blessing of Sacrifice, and Blessing of Protection cooldowns are reduced by 1 second per holy power spent. So when you're spending holy power, you're reducing the cooldown, which is 25 seconds, plus you have it up for 8 seconds. So the cooldown is really only about what is that, 17 seconds 17 seconds before you can use it again and not have freedom on yourself. But when you use this, it's lower, and you'll be able to spam freedoms on you and your teammates, and you'll be able to run faster, and it just makes life a lot easier as a Ret Paladin. Next one that you should probably use, so these two I use all the time, Lawbringer and Aura Reckoning. It's usually this one that I swap out. So you can swap Freedom out for Blessing of Sanctuary. Instantly removes all stun, silence, fear, and horror effects from the friendly target and reduces the duration of future such effects by 60% for 5 seconds. So if my healer is getting stunned or silenced or feared, I'll use this on them, and they will break the fear or stun that they're in. And then you can also use this when you're attacking or doing your go. This will help you prevent the enemy from stopping your go. So for example, it says right here, reduces the duration of future such effects by 60% for 5 seconds. So as you're using your cooldowns, your offensive cooldowns, and trying to get the kill, you can use this right before you think the healer is going to fear you, or another person is going to like fear you, stun you, or whatever, to peel for whatever target that you're on. So it's really good to time this correctly when you're using your go. And then you can use Vengeance Aura as well. Whenever you or a nearby allies within 40 yards become victim to a full loss of control effect, your holy damage and critical strike chance is increased by 3% for 8 seconds, and it stacks up to 4 times. So 12% for 8 seconds. That's pretty good. And yeah, that's about it. You can also use Law and Order if you're trying to attack people that get away from you pretty easily. So Hand of Hindrance is dispelled or otherwise removed early. The cooldown is reduced by 15 seconds. So your Hand of Hindrance ability, which slows people, will be reduced by 15 seconds. And your Blade of Justice right here also applies Hand of Hindrance to the target for 3 seconds. I used to use this a lot in BFA, but now it's pretty much useless since almost every class doesn't even have to walk to get away from you. Like monks can just roll or do their flying thing, whatever it is, flying knee or whatever it is, to get away from you. They can use their rolls to get away from you. They can teleport, so it doesn't even matter. This really doesn't matter at all. It doesn't help at all. Also, mages can just blink 3 times if they're Night Fae and they have shimmering ability. So this is pretty much pointless, but it used to be good, but now it's not. And yeah, these are probably all the talents you should worry about: Freedom, Lawbringer, Aura of Reckoning, Blessing of Sanctuary, Vengeance Aura, and maybe Law and Order, depending on what the situation is. So yeah, this is the PvP build that I like. I just like to switch this out depending on what comps I'm facing, and then pretty much everything else stays the same. So that's the best PvP Ret Paladin build. Now let's talk about the Covenants and Conduits build. So this is going to get pretty interesting now that we're getting up there in renown level. So by the end of this week, we should all be, I believe, renown 30. So as of right now, the person that I'm using for my Conduit build is Pelagos. I use Pelagos because he gives you combat meditation. Divine Toll increases your mastery by 350, so that is a huge buff to your mastery for 10 seconds, and occasionally expels sorrowful memories. So when you use Divine Toll, you get a buff of 350 mastery, and then there's like these little orbs which are called sorrowful memories. You can run over them and it'll increase your effect of mastery by 350 for an additional 3 seconds. So usually 3 or 4 of them drop every time you use them, and then that's an extra 12 seconds on your 10 seconds of increased mastery. And then the conduit I use is Ringing Clarity. This is probably the best conduit in the game for Ret Paladins. Divine Toll has a 52% chance to cast 3 extra times on the main target. So I have the item level 184 one. The higher the eye level of this conduit, the higher the percent chance to cast 3 extra times on the main target. So that is a lot of damage if it procs. So you want to get the highest eye level of this if you can by doing the raids. And then we just do Focus Mantra. This is pretty much useless. Shielding Words, another good conduit here. Casting Word of Glory grants you a shield that prevents damage equal to 19.5% of the healing done by the Word of Glory. So this used to be better pre-nerf, since your heals were 20% better before the nerf. So this is not as good as it was, but it is still a really good conduit to have. And this one is pretty much useless. And then Templar's Vindication. Templar's Verdict has a 39% chance to strike again for 30% of its damage. So if you're doing a Templar's Verdict, usually mine crit for like 13,000, I've seen 14,000, whatever, on my main paladin. This is my alt paladin. But yeah, if you have a 39% chance to strike again for 30% of its damage, that's an extra, what, 30% of 14k, it's like an extra almost 5,000 damage, so like 4,500-ish extra damage right there if you proc. So that's pretty good as well. And then we have Echoing Blessings. Blessing of Freedom increases the target's movement speed by 6.5%. So when you use Freedom, the speed is increased by 6.5%. Blessing of Protection and Blessing of Sacrifice reduce the target's damage taken by an additional 6.5%. These effects linger for 8 seconds after the blessing ends. So if I use Freedom for 8 seconds, I run around faster for 6.5 seconds, and then the effect lingers on for an additional 8 seconds, which is really nice for mobility. And same thing for utility when you use Blessing of Protection and Blessing of Sacrifice on your teammates. And then this week we are going to get on the Pelagos tree, Let Go of the Past. Using a spell or ability reduces your magic damage taken by 1% for 6 seconds, so that's pretty good. Using another spell or ability increases this amount by 1% when it is not a repeat of the previous spell, so stacking up to 3%. So that's pretty good. Reduce magic damage taken by 3% in total if you use this correctly. So this is the tree that I'm currently using right now. I might switch it to one of these depending on what the abilities are on the side here. So for example, I was looking at this one. This one's pretty good. Your damaging spells and abilities have a chance to decrease your target's movement speed by 45% for 20 seconds. So this might help with Ret Paladin's mobility, which is so trash right now in the game. So this might be good for us if we can reduce the target speed by 45% for 20 seconds. So this might help a lot. So it would basically be that Hand of Hindrance ability, but a lot better. And then this is not too good for Ret at least. And this one's pretty good when receiving healing while above 70% health or healing an ally that's above 70% health. 4% of the healing done is repeated on the target over 5 seconds. So that's pretty good if you're getting targeted a lot. And then what's their thing here? Valiant Strikes. Yeah, this is just like utility to help out your teammates. If a nearby party member drops below 50% health, you consume these Valiant Strikes that you're stacking to heal them for 1% of their maximum health per stack. So that's pretty good if your teammate is getting destroyed and you have the Valiant Strikes that can be used to heal your teammate up 20% instantly, I believe. Yeah, 20% if you have 20 stacks. And then this one is something else that I'll probably be testing in the future once we have these final renown levels here on the bottom. Bronze Call to Action. After using 90 damaging or healing spells and abilities, your next spell or ability summons Brawn, who knocks enemies back on arrival and then attacks and heals your target for 30 seconds. So that's okay. I mean, I can see it being used somehow, but it's not as good as Pelagos, I would say. And then this one was pretty good. Hammer of Genesis I was looking at. Damaging a new enemy grants you 3% haste for 10 seconds. Stacks up to 5 stacks. So that's 15% haste for 10 seconds. So when you damage a new enemy, so maybe you can use a Divine Storm, get all the stacks, and start hitting a single target one. This one's also pretty interesting. When reduced below 35% health, you stun nearby enemies for 3 seconds. This effect may only occur once every 45 seconds. So these are all different builds that people are going to test out. Obviously, just read these. I think Pelagos is the one for now. I think it's probably going to be the best one. Maybe Clea might be good. We shall see though. Right now I'm sticking with Pelagos. Clea, we won't be able to have access to the last slot until we're renowned 34, so that might be 2 weeks from now. So for now, I'm just going to stick with Pelagos. This ability is good. This is really good. And these conduits are really good. You can also switch out these conduits for something else. For example, Light's Barding is another good one. Divine Steed's duration is increased by 65%. So it just increases your Divine Steed for about another 2 seconds, which is pretty good. And then Virtuous Command is another good one. Causes your Templar Verdict. Judgment grants you Virtuous Command for 5 seconds, which causes your Templar Verdict, Crusader Strike, Blade of Justice, and auto attacks to deal an additional 10.5% holy damage. So that's pretty good if you want to try that out. And Truth's Wake is another one. Burns the target for an additional 70% damage over 6 seconds. So I would probably suggest getting Virtuous Command, Light's Barding, and these. Ringing Clarity is a must. Shielding Words is probably still a must. Templar's Vindication is probably the one you can switch out, or Echoing Blessings. Those are probably the ones you can swap out for something else if you want to be try something else. Yeah, and the rest of these are not for Ret. So we have all the conduits. Now let's talk about the Ret Paladin macros that you should be using and keybinds. So obviously I just made a keybind video that I published recently. You can check that video out. For the PvP macros, I also made a video on that. You can also check that out, but we'll quickly go over the macro situation. Essentially, I like to have 2 additional macros for Blessing of Protection. One for my healer and one for my DPS on my team. Same thing with Blessing of Sanctuary. One for my healer, one for my DPS. Same thing with Freedom, one for my healer, one for my DPS. Same thing with Sacrifice, one for my healer, one for my DPS. And yeah, so I just have 3 multiple macros for those abilities. Same thing with Word of Glory, one for my healer, one for my DPS. And also one for myself, Freedom for myself as well. A Blessing of Sanctuary for myself, a Blessing of Protection for myself. So you just have multiple macros of these abilities on your bar for yourself and for your teammates in Arena. And the macros essentially look like this: /cast bracket target equal your player's name, bracket close space the ability's name. So for instance, in this case, it would be Blessing of Protection. So I have one for Sacrifice, Blessing of Sacrifice, one for Blessing of Sanctuary, and one for Flash of Light, etc., etc. One for Word of Glory. You know, you get the idea. You can also do ones for Hajj. You can do Hajj Arena target 1, 2, or 3. I just like to have a focus Hajj macro instead of that because it's easier for me. And then what are some other macros? You want to have Arena Focus Arena 1, Focus Arena 2, Focus Arena 3, so you can change your focus pretty easily. This is your focus right here. So for example, if I were to, this is my focus. Let's pretend that this is the DPS that we're killing in the 3v3 game. Turn my sound off 1 sec. I'm attacking this DPS right here. I have the healer as my focus, which is down here. All I have to do is press Hajj, and he is Hajjed while I'm still attacking this guy over here. That's good to set up kills and CC. And then we have target 1, 2, 3 arena macros, if I can find that. Nope. Here we go. Target Arena 1, Target Arena 2, Target Arena 3. So instead of clicking on the targets when I'm trying to switch them, I can just press those macros, which I have keybinded to my keybinds, and switch them more easily. And then the keybinds, I just made a video on this, you can watch it. These are my keybinds. They're the most comfortable for me. Make keybinds that work for you and are comfortable for you, essentially. And then we have some combat tips. Actually, no. Let's do add-ons really quick. Really important add-ons I would suggest are Gladius X. So I'll show you what that looks like. So Gladius X and S Arena, when you pair them up correctly, it should look something like this. So Gladius X shows you the major cooldowns that your enemy has, and then S Arena will show you their frames, the DR on the CC, their trinket cooldown, their racial cooldown, what abilities they're using, what they're casting, etc., etc. So I also made a video on this. It's my best PvP add-ons guide that you can watch, and I essentially show you how to set this up and other important macros that you can set up, not macros, add-ons that you can set up as well to improve your arena rating in PvP. Also in that video I show you Omni CC. Let me just show you how that looks like. How do I test this out? So Omni CC, it just shows you the timer a little bit better. It's not really important, but Omni CD is actually the important one, which I was trying to remember here. So let's just see how this looks like. We're gonna test it out. So when I have my arena frames set up, my raid frames, I can see my teammates and what abilities they have left, and it just helps to understand, if you're not playing in Discord, to communicate better, to see what setups you can do. So for example, if I have Hammer of Justice up, I can use it knowing that my priest still has Fear up, and we can set up a CC chain like that, and then my hunter can trap out of that and we can win the game, essentially. So yeah, make sure to watch my add-ons video, which talks about how to set up all these add-ons. And one other important add-on I want to show you is Omnibar. So ignore the left side, but these are just all the major abilities that every class has, which can also be seen here, but there are some additional ones that I want to know about that are right here, and then the kicks of every class. So if I'm a healer and I see that the rogue used kick and he has 3 seconds left before he has kick on cooldown, that means I can heal for those 3 seconds before he can kick me again. So it's just all of these add-ons and macros and things like that give you more awareness in the arena game, so you can try to set up kills better, play defensively better, play offensively better, and just overall try to win the game much better. So let's turn this off. Turn Gladius X off. Make sure to watch my videos on that, explaining how to set that up. And let's talk about the last thing, some Ret Paladin combat tips. So essentially, you have Holy Power. You use that Holy Power either offensively or defensively. So if my healer is basically having trouble healing up the team, I'll use Word of Glory to heal my teammates. I'll use Word of Glory to heal myself or my healer. Also, you can use these abilities, Blessing of Protection, use it on your healer or DPS, whoever's getting focused. You can use Blessing of Sacrifice to take some damage from whoever they are focusing on, the enemy is focusing on. And then you can also use Blessing of Sacrifice offensively. So for example, if you're fighting a mage and you're being focused and they're trying to CC your healer, or your healer is being focused and they're CCing you, you can use Blessing of Sacrifice on your healer and you'll take some of their damage, and when you're in polymorph, it'll break the polymorph, that damage that you are getting. So you can use that offensively or defensively depending on the situation of the arena map. use freedom to freedom your teammates. Use Shield of Vengeance defensively or offensively. You can use it defensively if you're getting focused and you're trying to help your healer catch up on healing. You can use that offensively for it to explode and do a lot of damage. Same thing with Eye for an Eye. Use that always defensively. It's mostly a defensive ability against melee classes. And yeah, that's about it. Just play smart. Make sure you understand how to use your holy power, when you should use it. And let's just quickly talk about the last thing here, which is my rotation as a Ret Paladin. So let's just say this is the target. What I like to do is start off with Blade of Justice, Crusader Strike, pop my wings, which is macroed with Seraphim right after. Then I'll use Divine Toll. It puts the Judgment ability. I'll use Lawbringer. Then Templar's Verdict. Then I'll use Judgment. Puts that 5% debuff ability on there. I'll use Wake of Ashes. Then Templar's Verdict. Then this, Hammer of Wrath, and then Templar's Verdict, and just continue to get 3 holy power and use that to get Templar's Verdict and do burst damage right there. So that's essentially the way you want to burst. It's not always going to work out perfectly in Arena, because there are some cases where you're not going to be able to get 3 holy power to get Avenging Wrath. Like yesterday I was doing Arena and I didn't have 3 holy power, but I knew it was the perfect time to use wings and then use Divine Toll to get the kill, and I had to use it even though I didn't use Seraphim. We still got the kill because I recognized there was a chance, a really good chance that we can win if I just use wings and Divine Toll instead of waiting for wings, Seraphim, and then Divine Toll. Yeah, also sometimes you're not going to have a perfect rotation like that. Sometimes you're going to be bursted down. You're going to have to use other abilities in between your burst rotation to try to stay alive, or you're going to have to use your holy power to use heals to heal teammates and stay alive, or you're going to have to use other abilities on teammates to stay alive and help your team out. And sometimes you're not going to be able to use your Hammer of Justice solely on the healer for CC. If your other DPS is getting DPS'd a lot, you're going to want to try to help your healer out by using Hammer of Justice on one of the other teams, team's DPS, just in case they're doing too much damage and your healer can't heal through it. You can just use a Hajj on one of the DPS and try to prevent your healer from using too much mana or using too many defensive cooldowns and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know how long this video was. I'm going to assume it was about an hour long, but hopefully you found it helpful, and make sure to check the timestamps and watch what you want to watch. Thanks for watching. Peace out. Hopefully you found this video helpful. We covered everything you need to know about Ret Paladins for Arena PvP this late into the season. This is just an update on one of my previous videos about how to play a Ret Paladin for PvP Arena. So I hope this video provided you with value. If it did, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitch. There's a link in the description below. Like this video and share this video with other people who can find it helpful. And make sure to leave a comment if you have any questions. I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Peace out.